This is the WWE SmackDown April 4th, 2025 full show results video which takes place at Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. CM Punk makes his entrance, gets on the mic and thanks the 16,000 of his hometown friends and family that are here tonight. He doesn't know if you've heard, but he's in the main event of WrestleMania, and he's earned it. He's got a date at WrestleMania and he promises he's gonna whip Seth Rollins' ass and put a beating on Roman Reigns in the main event. Then comes Paul Heyman, and says the last time they stood inside this ring, he came up to CM because Solo Sikoa and company were breathing down his neck and he said, "Please take me with you," and then the next week they took him out for longer than he's ever been out except the times he was fired. And then Punk took a beating from Drew McIntyre so severe in Hell in a Cell that he almost didn't come back. And then he came to CM and begged and pleaded for Punk to be the fifth in War Games, and Punk did it for him and saved the family, the match, and the bloodline, and he deserves all the credit in the world, and he thanks him, but if he'll indulge him, he has one more favor to ask of him. Punk asks what he can do for him, and Paul leans in and asks Punk to tell him the favor he wants of him, please. Roman is breathing down his neck and he wants to know. Punk gets confirmation that Roman isn't here and tells Heyman he'd like to tell him at the same time he tells Roman, and to let him know when the Big Chief wants to show up next. CM takes his leave and Paul Heyman sweats in the ring. Then we saw a match between Nathan Frazer vs Rey Fenix, and the result of this match was Rey Fenix defeated Nathan Frazer by pinfall with the Mexican Muscle Buster. Post-match, Byron Saxton interviews Fenix and Fenix thanks Chicago and says he has a lot of history here and tonight isn't the debut of Rey Fenix, it's so much more. Tonight he is rewarded with love and passion, with Rich and Animal, and he's been waiting his whole career to say that he is WWE Animal. Santos Escobar lectures Los Garza about being more like Rey Fenix. Humberto Carrillo says Fenix is just a flying lizard and he's better than him. Santos likes to see the fire out for him but asks him to show him in a singles match next week. Back from commercial, Drew McIntyre cuts a promo wearing an eye patch and says he might never be the same with the glass in his eye, and he needs a miracle, so he's going to pray, and everyone knows that bad things happen when Drew McIntyre prays. Braun Strowman is interviewed backstage and he talks about how he's gonna win the United States Championship and complete his Grand Slam. Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga roll up and Sikoa says he's finished before he even gets started because he's gotta go out there and face the Samoan werewolf. LA Knight rolls up and talks about how big his balls are and Tonga tells him he should be worried about him tonight. LA says he's gonna stomp him out right now if he can just get a referee out here. Then we saw a match between LA Knight versus Tama Tonga, and the result of this match was LA Knight defeated Tama Tonga by pinfall with BFT. Byron Saxton interviews Paul Heyman backstage and Heyman he grabs the camera and says he's on record as saying to CM Punk that no matter what the favor is, his answer is yes, so just tell him and get him out of the jam he's in with his tribal chief. Anything he wants, the answer is yes. Then Paul turns around and greets his tribal chief arriving in an SUV, but Seth Rollins gets out and has a good laugh about it. Oh, he was expecting the other Shield guy? He says he's been thinking and boy Heyman dug himself into a hole with this favor thing, so he wants to be there when Punk explains the favor, too. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair makes their entrance for face-to-face interaction, moderated by Wade Barrett. Stratton says Charlotte's greatest opponent has always been the fans and she'll never win. And no matter how many titles she wins, she'll always come second to her daddy, Ric Flair, and at WrestleMania she'll come second to Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany says that Charlotte was trying to play volleyball and drinking in her daddy's basement at 25, whereas she's walking into WrestleMania as champion. Flair says it's just another match but she's gotten to, and she might be the queen inside the ring, but outside she ain't the queen of shit. She calls Charlotte a Nepo baby but Flair disagrees, saying she's the Nepo queen and she's the #1 Nepo baby. Stratton gets another barb off and Charlotte asks if that's why Ludwig Kaiser is in her DMs but Tiffany ignores it and keeps walking. Nick Aldis has a major announcement in conjunction with Adam Pearce. Next week there will be a #1 contenders gauntlet match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, with the winner challenging Judgment Day at WrestleMania. Then we saw a WWE Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match between DIY vs Motor City Machine Guns, and the result of this match was Motor City Machine Guns won the match by pinfall with a schoolboy pin from Chris Sabin on Tommaso Ciampa, becoming the #1 contenders to the WWE Tag Team Championship. Mello Don't Miz roll up on Pretty Deadly and mock them for losing a title shot in their own country. Pretty Deadly offer their own jokes, the Marine 3, the Marine 4, the Marine 5. Miz talks up his tag success and they say he's always got a newer, hotter model, like the Leonardo DiCaprio of tag teams. They accuse Melodome Miz of not being a real tag team, but that gets their dander up and they set up a match. The next match happened between B-Fab versus Naomi, and the result of this match was Naomi defeated B-Fab by pinfall with a wrist clutch single leg codebreaker. Post-match, Naomi asks Jade where she's at because she's still standing, and Jade appears from out of nowhere and lands a thrust kick, hits chicken wings for Jaded, but security arrives to pull her away. Nick Aldis comes to the stage and says he's had enough of this and there's only one solution: Naomi versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Back from commercial, Nick Aldis is in the ring and says this is one of the parts of his job that isn't fun. He introduces Kevin Owens and gets on the mic and says the last 4 months he's been dealing with a pretty serious neck injury and this week they figured it out, and now he has to go get neck surgery. So that's what he's gonna do, and the timing couldn't be worse, because not getting to be in the ring with Randy Orton at WrestleMania really sucks. The last few years he's learned not to take anything for granted, and he's learned not to take this for granted. So, for now, he wants to say thank you and he's sorry. On his way out, Randy Orton makes his entrance and Kevin holds his ground on the apron as Randy makes his way up to him and says something inaudible. Owens leaves but stops to seemingly confront a fan. Orton is thoughtful in the ring and Aldis apologizes for him no longer having a match and Orton dropped him with a RKO. Then we saw a WWE United States Championship No. 1 Contenders Last Man Standing match between Braun Strowman versus Samoan Werewolf Jacob Fatu, and the result of this match was Jacob Fatu defeated Braun Strowman by answering the standing 10 count when Braun Strowman could not, becoming the No. 1 contender to the WWE United States Championship. Back from the commercial, an SUV rolls up and Roman gets out, ignoring Paul Heyman and making his way directly towards his entrance. Roman says Punk wouldn't be in the main event of WrestleMania if it wasn't for him, and he gets it. He's from the same city and they're good people, but they're not that smart. CM Punk's been around forever and wrestled everyone under the sun, but he's never been in that main event of WrestleMania. The crowd chants for him and Roman asks Punk to come on down and indulge his tribal chief as to what this favor is. Instead, we get Seth Rollins, and says Reigns underestimates CM Punk and thinks if he ignores him he'll just go away, and that doesn't work. Reigns fires back and says Seth doesn't understand loyalty, but he keeps his word, and he didn't call Seth down here, he called Punk down here. Rollins says he's out here to hear from CM Punk too, so there's only one thing missing. Then comes CM Punk, and gets on the mic. Paul truly is a wise man, and he prophesied this on national TV. Paul left this company on Big Show's bus, the three of them and Rob Van Dam talking amongst themselves, and he made it about him. Paul, they're gonna fire me. Paul, don't leave, and he said no, you'll be fine. Punk apologized for making it about him and asked what he can do, and Heyman said when you main event WrestleMania, force them to deal with US. Well, they aren't here anymore, so he's gonna force the tribal chief to deal with them out of his comfort zone. Because at WrestleMania, in the main event, in Punk's corner, is Wiseman, Punk's best friend, Paul Heyman. Roman looks away and then looks back, asking if that's really the favor. He laughs it off and Punk looks steel-eyed at him. Roman says Paul loves him and needs him and he saved him, and even if he let him, he wouldn't. Paul Heyman, red-eyed, looks at Roman conflicted, about to cry, unable to bring the mic to his mouth or force the words out. Reigns asks if he's crying and says he'd better wipe him up and tell him no. Clarity comes across Heyman's face and he wipes the tears from his eyes. Roman says he's gonna give him one more opportunity to tell Punk no, and Heyman lifts the microphone to his mouth and says he can't do that. Rollins falls to his knees laughing. Roman gets Paul in the corner and CM blindsides the tribal chief and hits GTS. Punk squares up with Rollins now, Roman losing himself crying, Heyman screaming no in withered agony, and Seth takes his leave as Punk does the go-to-sleep taunt down the barrel of the camera and the show goes off the air. How much you would rate this week's SmackDown show? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching the video.